what are the themes that Pixar goes back to again and again, and why do they do it?
I was going to touch on this when you talked about me and you crying like children. I think one of the crucial reasons that that happens is the themes they choose. If you think about, Disney movies or in general movies we see, they don't always touch on the themes Pixar talks about. Pixar talks a lot about death,
Yeah, they do.
about age. Yeah, and not even like the Lion King way, where Lion King has a death in it, but it's a coming of age story. Toy Story 3 is about aging in a way. It's about letting go.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
it's about time not coming back. Um, Inside Out is about depression. It's about the cost of having complicated emotions and how life will never be as simple as it was when we were children.
I mean, Toy Story
Finding,
4, like Toy Story 4, which I just saw
yeah,
recently. I mean,
yeah,
it's brutal at the end. And okay, guys, by the way, it's just spoiler alert from this point on. I mean, anything we're gonna
yeah.
just. I mean, if you haven't seen these movies, I'm sorry, but yeah, the end of that, like Woody leaves, and you're just like, that's another stage of life where you leave your family, you go off, and you leave your friends that you made when
Yeah.
you were younger. Not many people hold on to friendships all their life. Those are very special relationships because people change, times change, situations change. Finding Nemo, perfect example as well.
It's about parenthood. My mom, who raised me by herself, it was just me and her. And she maybe was a little overprotective at times. And when we saw Finding Nemo, and she told me, because there's this line that Dory has where she says, like, but if you don't let anything happen to him, how will anything ever happen to them? And my mom gasped. My mom gasped. And to
Wow.
this day, she will quote that line to me and talk about the effect it had on her. Because Pixar is about parenting. Finding Nemo is about parenting. And Inside Out, you know, she talks about how she has to be their happy little girl. And in the end is her saying that she can't be that. Those are things that few filmmakers, much less in a commercial, children-oriented, high-budget, film, will dare touch and dare touch so honestly.
Yeah, that's one thing Pixar is honest. It's authentic and honest. I mean, they really, really, they're brutal. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're absolutely the stuff oh God, and Inside Out when what's his name dies. Oh
Bing
my.
Bong.
Oh, what's his big? Was it Big Bang? What is it?
Bing Bong, yeah.
Big Bang. When Big Bang I'm like bawling, and I'm like, oh my, like it was so brutal because you go back to either your own imaginary friend, or when you're in Toy Story, you go back to that toy that you left at the side of the
Yeah.
road somewhere. You donated to the to the Goodwill or something, and you're just like you feel terrible. So now I like anytime my daughters are like going to throw something away, I'm like, no, don't throw that away. No, we'll put them in the garage. We'll put them in the garage, but you can't just throw it away. You could give it a home if you could find someone for him, but we're not just going to give it to the Goodwill. It's so
You
ridiculous.
can't even put them in daycare now after Toy Story 3. You're scared to give your toys to daycare.
No, exactly, because that was such a brilliant transition from like where will toys go? Well, they go to daycare, and the politics inside of daycare and what happens in that. Did you ever see the commercial? Spike Jonze directed this amazing commercial for IKEA. It was years ago, and it was the story of a lamp, which just makes perfect sense here. It's exactly the same lamp from Pixar. What are the I forgot the name of those lamps, but you go through the life of this lamp with this person. Like, oh, it's wearing this, and the different things that happen, and at the end, she unplugs it and puts it on the side of the road, like in the garbage, like in a city, like right there, so it could be thrown away, and then a new lamp gets put on, and then you they start like closing in on this lamp. There's no dialogue in the entire thing, and you just start closing in, and you feel horrible for the lamp until this guy walking by goes, "What's wrong with you? It's just a lamp." It's just, it has no feelings. The new lamp is much better. Go home. I was just, oh my God. It's one of the most brilliant commercials I've ever seen in my life.
I haven't seen it. I have to see it now.
Oh, it's type in IKEA lamp commercial on Google. It is amazing. But the guy had like this Swedish accent for the IKEA, and he was like, "What's wrong with you? It has no feelings. The new one is much better." But that's the power of storytelling. Like you felt something for an inanimate object, and I mean, for God's sakes, Toy Story is the best example of that. All the Toy Story films are such an amazing example. Because now you as a grown man and me as a grown man will look at our toys from our childhood or look at our daughter's toys and just maybe. What if when we close the door,
it's burned in a dump?
I don't want my pork. It's amazing. But that's the power of really powerful storytelling.